Welcome back to Mac Stories Unwind. Today's show is brought to you by Collide. I'm John Voorhees, and with me is Federico Viticci. Hey, Federico.
Hello, John. How are you?
I'm doing great. I hear that you went straight to a source. You went straight to a friend of yours from Calabria to ask about espresso sodas, which, I enjoyed mine so much last week. I'm going to have another one. And I noticed a couple of people, both in the Club Mac Stories Discord and on Mastodon, who were very intrigued by the idea and thinking of having some of their own.
So I did some research in real life. We were having dinner on Saturday, this nice pizza place nearby, and I was talking with this friend of mine. He's from Calabria, and specifically from Cosenza, which is one of the towns, if you recall, that were mentioned in the article that we found about the origins of the espresso soda. And I remembered about the I remembered the podcast, and I was like, hey, I gotta ask you something. So I explained, like, on the show that I do. My co-host found this espresso soda drink, and we did some research online, and I found this article.
That's a whole thing, the backstory of explaining to people what you do and how these things come up in your life. There's this random guy who lives in North Carolina. I talked to him on Zoom.
Yeah, you got to picture the scene, right, with Sylvia listening and be like, yeah, this is what they do. They talk about silly stuff.
Of course. That's exactly what Jennifer's reaction would be, too.
Yeah. And so I was like, so I found this article online, but it was in English. Anyway, this article mentioned that it's from Calabria and specifically from Cosenza. And it's like, yeah, that's correct. And I was like, really? And basically, there's this it's a bit of a contentious story, because the towns of Cosenza and Catanzaro, these are two towns in southern Italy in the region of Calabria, they each claim that they were the inventors of the espresso soda. And there's basically, of course, the guy, my friend, is from Cosenza, so he told the side of the Cosenza origins of the drink.
Yes, he's pro Cosenza.
He's pro Cosenza. So anyway, in Calabria, there are these two competing drinks that you can buy. One is called the mocha drink. The mocha drink is like a pre-made beverage that you can buy in small glass bottles at like a coffee shop or something. It looks like a bottle of Coke, but it's like really dark espresso soda essentially. So from Cosenza, it's the mocha drink.
Does it have chocolate in it? Does it have chocolate in it though too? Because usually a mocha drink here would have some.
No, mocha is just the name of the coffee machine, like the coffee maker.
Right.
Yeah. It's the international version that whenever you see mocha, it also means it's got chocolate. The mocha is the name of the physical coffee maker.
I remember that from when I was in Italy.
Yeah. From Catanzaro, the same drink is called a Brasilena for some reason. It sounds like Brazil. It's called the Brasilena. And so these two towns are competing for the same drink. And of course, the guy from Cosenza said, but the mocha drink is the original one. And the guys from Catanzaro, they stole it from us. But yeah, it's a thing. And now the only thing he said, I showed your picture to my friend, and he said, oh, this drink, it looks way too brown. It's supposed to be more black. Like, it's supposed to be darker. He said it seems like it was diluted with a lot of water and ice, which
it was soda water is what it was, because it was like handmade with it had maybe 1 or 2 shots of espresso and a whole bunch of soda water.
Yeah, he argued from the picture that it wasn't dark enough. But so when you go to a coffee shop in Calabria, you can either ask for a mocha drink or a Brasilena, and they will know what you mean, which is a refreshing espresso soda.
Well, I think that what's in order is a taste test. We need to go and try both of these drinks and declare a winner.
I'm gonna try. Well, I mean, I can order some.
We can bring your friend down with us too, and we can all have an espresso soda.
Well, there you go. So it's apparently a regional thing that exists. Okay, so John, it is time for a classic Mac Stories Unwind surprise episode.
And we should have a name for the surprise episodes, because they're now like almost a regular thing, I think.
Yeah, they are every once in a while. So there's a lot of context here that is necessary to understand what I've done. So I told you it was a video game surprise. It's a video
Right.
game related surprise, and I need to contextualize here. And it's like a multi-layer context that you
Hmm.
need. The first layer is that I've been selling a bunch of stuff
Right.
online. Like, this is what I do. I like to try different gadgets, and there's a few great Italian websites to sell used gadgets in really good conditions. So I've been clearing out my storage by selling a bunch of old stuff, which opened up a bit of a budget. I've been selling a lot of things lately, and it's great because those devices, they find a great home, and also I make some money back
Right.
to feed my addiction for trying stuff, which is nice, and they don't go to waste. The second layer is that, as much as I like to think that I can play video games, in front of a TV or at a desk or at my kitchen table, the reality is, John, that most of my video game time is at night. And
Uh-huh.
I like to play games in bed. I just love how I can play video games with my dogs and Sylvia sleeping next to me. I don't have time to play video games during the day because I'm working,
Right.
and I don't like to isolate myself in another room at night. I mean, it works and I've done it, but there's something about it that makes me feel always kind of awkward. Just
Yeah.
being in another room for a couple of hours each night, away from Sylvia and away from the dogs. I don't know. And then the dogs wake up, as you know, and they come check on me because I'm in another
Right.
room. It's always like that. And I just love playing games in bed. It's comfortable, and I like it. And the third layer of this context is that I started wondering if I could have a more powerful Steam Deck. And
Hmm.
now this is a weird thing to say, right? But
Right.
it'll make sense in a minute. And also, it takes a turn. This third layer takes a turn in the story.
Okay.
So a few weeks ago, I came across these open source projects that bring SteamOS to other non-Steam Deck
Oh,
devices.
I remember
Uh,
you mentioning these to me not
this
too
was in
long
front.
ago.
Was in front of you the whole time, like
I
most of my
remember
other
this.
surprises. There's one of them called Nobara, and there's
Uh-huh.
another called Bazite. Now, I've been keeping an eye on Bazite, and the idea is that this is a Linux distribution. It's open source. It's based on Fedora, and it implements a lot of the elements of the Steam Deck operating system. And especially with Bazite, what you can do is you can install Bazite on a bunch of compatible devices, and it boots you right into a Steam Deck looking operating system. And it
Mhm.
even supports what the Steam Deck does, which is switching back to a desktop mode.
Oh, okay.
And if you just looked at it, you may be confused by thinking this is actually a Steam Deck. So I started doing some research and putting all these things together. The fact that I've been selling a bunch of old equipment, the fact that I have a really good gaming laptop, an eGPU, but it's so uncomfortable to use that in bed, and also
Yeah, that's a lot to
the
juggle.
it's a lot to juggle. And also the problem with that eGPU that I have, which is an incredible eGPU, it's the XG Mobile by Asus. It has a 4090 laptop version inside,
Mhm.
but the cable is so short, like,
Right.
and stiff. The eGPU basically, like, you cannot even do something that I could do, which is leave the eGPU on the floor and put the laptop on your lap in bed. You cannot do that because the cable is like 20 centimeters long,
Right.
and it's so stiff. And so that setup wasn't working for me if I wanted to play video games in bed at night. And so I started putting all these thoughts together, and I've done something, John.
Okay, before you get there, I do wanna ask about the SteamOS lookalikes, which
Mm.
is I have read that Valve is looking to bring
Yep.
SteamOS to more
Supposedly.
devices, right? Do you think that this is gonna go kinda Yuzu land with
Well,
Valve cracking
I
down, or
don't
is
know. I don't know. SteamOS is also open source, and
Oh,
and
is
so
it?
I don't
Okay.
think that's possible. And I think the
Alright.
idea is that Valve wants to work with third-party manufacturers to license the Steam Deck operating system at a
Right.
lower cost than Windows 11. Every one of these PC handheld manufacturers, they pay a fee to Microsoft as OEMs for
Mm-hmm.
running Windows on their handhelds. And supposedly the rumor says that Valve wants to license SteamOS at a lower cost than Windows. So we'll see, but that hasn't happened yet.
Right.
So anyway, putting all these elements together, and I started doing some research because I had a thought. And once I confirmed all the elements, I did something, John. And
What did you do?
I am now a very happy, like very, very happy owner and user of a Lenovo Legion Go.
Oh, really?
Yes. This
Really?
device is incredible, and let me explain why.
I was going to say why, because it's I know it's a good device, but how is it like superior to the Rogue Ally or your Steam Deck?
All right. So I should say, I'm jumping straight to the conclusion. I think I'm going to consolidate all of my gaming situation around the Legion Go.
Interesting.
So in addition to the things I already sold, I am seriously considering selling. For sure, I think I'm going to sell the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally. I am thinking about the laptop and the eGPU, if only because the Asus eGPU is so rare to find.
Right.
But the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally are going out for sale.
What about your tablet,
sure.
your Asus tablet?
Those two I'm still thinking about. But the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally, the PlayStation Portal, all of those things are going for sale.
I got rid of my Portal, although I was starting to wonder whether I should get the Portal again. But I think I'm fine with using both my Anodin and my iPhone for remote play.
So my original idea was I'm going to install Bazzite on the Lenovo Legion Go. I'm going to dual boot Windows and Linux. And I'm going to use it as a dual hybrid device. Most of the time booting into the Steam Deck like operating system, and when I want to, using Windows 11.
Now I know why you disappeared all last weekend, and you said you're playing video games. I know. I'm putting the pieces together in my mind as you talk. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Well, no, I was playing. So this is actually 2 weeks ago. I was playing Dragon's Dogma, and also I guess I should say it all also started, like the fourth piece of the contextual layer, I guess, is that I also wanted to have a better way to play Dragon's Dogma at night with better performance. So I did that. I installed Bazzite on the Lenovo Legion Go. I'm going to send you a link to a tutorial. It was a very involved process, but I got it working. And spoiler, it didn't last long. Because I think it's such an incredible project. It works most of the time. There's obviously a few kinks here and there. Like you need to install a bunch of additional tools to make sure that the Lenovo Legion Go hardware gets recognized. Because I mean, the operating system is convinced that you're using a Steam Deck and you're not using a Steam Deck, right? Right. But it was incredible. Sleep and suspend, everything was working. I had a Steam Deck like experience on a device with better hardware than a Steam Deck, except for the screen, with an asterisk.
This episode of Mac Stories Unwind is brought to you by Collide. When you go through airport security, there's one line where the TSA agent checks your ID and another line where a machine scans your bag. The same thing happens in enterprise security, but instead of passengers and luggage, it's end users and their devices. These days, most companies are pretty good at the first part of the equation, where they check users' identity. But user devices can roll right through authentication without getting inspected at all. In fact, 47% of companies allow unmanaged, untrusted devices to access their data. That means an employee can log in from a laptop that has its firewall turned off or hasn't been updated in 6 months. Or worse, that laptop might belong to a bad actor using employee credentials. Collide finally solves the device trust problem. Collide ensures that no device can log onto your Okta-protected apps unless it passes your security checks. Plus, you can use Collide on devices without MDM, like your Linux fleet, contractor devices, and every BYOD phone and laptop in your company. Visit collide.com/MacStoriesUnwind to watch a demo and see how it works. That's KOLIDE.com/MacStoriesUnwind. Our thanks to Collide for their support of the show.
So let me talk about the hardware first.
Yeah.
The Lenovo Legion Go is think of it as a hybrid between the Steam Deck and a Nintendo Switch. It doesn't have an OLED display, but it has an incredible looking. I don't know what Lenovo has done here. It's probably the best LCD I've ever seen. It's an 8.8 inch. It's almost 9 inch, right? 9 inches.
Yeah, it's
8.8 big screen LCD. It looks gorgeous. It's an incredibly bright and vivid display. It's very high resolution. It's 2560 by 1600 resolution, 144 hertz refresh rate.
Oh, wow.
For context, the ROG Ally is 7 inches, 1080p resolution, 120 hertz refresh rate.
Yep.
And the Steam Deck OLED, it's OLED. It's got that going for it. It's 7.4 inches, and the resolution is even lower. It's 800p, and it's a 90 hertz refresh rate display. The Lenovo Legion Go has detachable controllers, like a Nintendo Switch, which initially I thought were a gimmick, and I think it's one of the things that I like most about this device, actually.
Really?
It's heavy. Right? It's 200 grams. It's 200 grams more than a Steam Deck.
Yeah, that's what
250 grams more than an ROG Ally.
Oh, boy.
It has a kickstand, which you know I love. It has a kickstand, which
Yes,
I have been using so much. It's got literally the same CPU as an ROG Ally. This is RDNA 3 graphics, AMD Zen 4 architecture.
Yep.
And it's got the same amount of RAM, 16 gigs, but it's faster RAM. It's 7,500 megahertz compared to the ROG Ally that has 6,400 megahertz. And faster RAM for these kinds of games that you're going to run, especially games that are not so well optimized for the GPU, like Dragon's Dogma, those games that task the CPU, the faster RAM really comes in handy. And it also has 2 USB ports. And this was the other part of the story. So initially, this whole adventure started because I wanted to have a better Steam Deck. And so for a few days after installing Bazzite on the Lenovo Legion Go, I played Dragon's Dogma at low settings, low resolution, low settings, and I could get a stable 30 FPS with low graphics, but that's the sort of performance that I could get from the 30-watt TDP on the Legion Go, the kind of performance that I couldn't get at all from the Steam Deck and that I also couldn't get from the ROG Ally. So in pure portable mode, I was playing Dragon's Dogma, and it was the best performance that I was getting for that game compared to the other handhelds.
Oh, I think I know what you've done. I think I know what the punchline is. Keep going.
So the Bazzite experiment was really cool and very informative. I learned a bunch of things, but then I had another thought. I was looking at these 2 USB ports,
right,
and I realized something, and that was where the story takes a turn. There's a USB 4 port at the top of the device, and there's another at the bottom of the device. And I was playing Dragon's Dogma at low settings, and it was okay. But then I had another idea. I thought, well, now that I'm using a handheld that doesn't have a proprietary port anymore, like the ROG Ally, what if I got a new eGPU? And what if I placed this eGPU not in the bedroom, but with a cable, with a Thunderbolt cable long enough? What if I could place this outside the bedroom so that the fan noise and the heat wouldn't bother Sylvia and the dogs, and I could play games at maximum settings while still being in bed? And so that's what I did.
Do they make Thunderbolt cables that long?
The story
I thought that like 2 meters was the limit.
You just hold on because
okay.
it's coming. So I started doing some research, and I came across this new world of USB/Thunderbolt, because USB 4, it's backwards compatible with Thunderbolt 3 and Thunderbolt 4, and Oculink eGPUs. Now, I'm not using Oculink. I'll go straight to the point. The Lenovo Legion Go doesn't have Oculink, and I don't want to mod the Lenovo Legion Go. Lenovo, they are launching a laptop with Oculink this year. So hopefully, once they do a Lenovo Legion Go 2, which apparently they are working on one, hopefully they will have a native Oculink port.
Right.
But I came across these two eGPUs that have the same AMD graphics card inside. It's the AMD 7600 MXT. That's the name of the GPU inside. And these are two compact, like really compact eGPUs. They're sold as travel eGPUs. But basically, imagine the size of like a really chunky power bank. It's about that size. There's one called the GPD G1, and there's another.
I know that one.
Yeah,
and there's another watching a YouTube video about that last night.
There's another one called the 1X Player, made by 1X Player. It's called the 1X GPU. So initially, I went with the GPD G1. Right. I took some measurements, and I realized that if I were able to find a 3-meter Thunderbolt or USB 4 cable, I could put the eGPU on the floor in the hallway, right? And be in bed with just one cable going from the eGPU to myself in bed, holding the Lenovo Legion Go. So I got the GPD G1. I played with it for a couple of days. I was really happy. And then one day I went in, connected the eGPU, and it wasn't turning on anymore. And I was devastated.
Wow.
So I returned the GPD G1. I got the 1X GPU, and it's been working beautifully for me. And my theory is that I've been doing some Googling after that. The GPD G1 suffers from some performance and reliability issues that I should have found before. And I think that those issues originate from the fact that the GPD G1 has a power supply built in, whereas with the 1X player, it's separate from the it's external. So, you don't want, with these things, and with the...
It's a lot of heat. It creates a lot of heat.
It creates a lot of heat. And in fact, the 1X player GPU runs much cooler than the GPD G1 because the power supply is external. So for about a week or so, I've been playing Dragon's Dogma at maximum settings with ray tracing turned on while holding the Legion Go in my hands. And it's been, I put 20 hours into this game so far. It's probably, it is my game of the year so far. And I have absolutely loved every single part of the experience. Using an AMD eGPU with the Lenovo Legion Go is so much better than the XG Mobile. You just need to press a button and it turns on. And when you want to disconnect, you don't have to do anything else. You just power it off. It doesn't get stuck like the XG Mobile does with the Asus software. It's so much easier.
Yeah, you turn it on first, and then you turn on the Legion Go. Is that right? I was actually watching some videos.
I just turn on the Legion Go. I log in, and then I press power on the eGPU. Connect the cable, gets recognized, and Windows automatically switches to that.
They have 3-meter long Thunderbolt cables, huh? I didn't realize that.
You just hold on, John.
Okay, I want to know more about these cables because I know that whenever I go to buy my Thunderbolt cables, they're incredibly short and they cost a lot.
So the Apple makes the Thunderbolt Pro cable, which is 3 meters long.
Okay.
But that didn't work. I also got that, and that didn't work. Instead, I got a 3-meter USB 4 cable by Cable Matters on Amazon, and that worked perfectly with the eGPU.
So that's different than Thunderbolt.
I guess it's a USB 4
I don't know
cable.
how. I thought they were the same
I don't know. I thought the same too, but maybe it was just, I don't know. I got that one.
Apple's
and
probably doing something special, I guess.
Yeah. So I've been playing Dragon's Dogma like that, on a beautiful handheld in my hands, almost 9-inch, maximum settings, ray tracing enabled. It looks fantastic. And all of that while being in bed. So comfortable. It's a dream come true. And also that was part of the reason why I reformatted. I guess no, I didn't reformat my drive, but I removed the Linux partition and I stopped using Bazzite because Bazzite was not recognizing my eGPU. And as much as I
Ah, okay.
loved the Steam Deck-like nature of Bazzite, Windows was more reliable with the eGPU. And
So what are
so
you gonna do for your Steam games? Why are you getting rid of your Steam Deck if you aren't using Bazzite?
no, I'm just gonna play everything on Windows. I mean, I don't hate the Windows UI on handhelds as much as other people do. Honestly, I'm fine. I'm just gonna play my Steam games on the Lenovo Legion Go using Steam for Windows.
For Windows. Oh, that makes sense. And I agree with you. I don't think Windows using Steam in Windows is really all that bad. I've used it a little bit myself, but
Yeah, yeah,
interesting. So let me ask you a meta question about the Legion Go,
yeah.
which is, and maybe this is just me and the websites that I follow, but I feel like it has not gotten very much press. At least maybe in the gaming community more, but not
Yes.
as much in the general tech press because I don't see it. I don't see the MSI Claw mentioned
The
very much.
MSI Claw is very bad. It's a very
Well,
bad
that's what
handheld.
I've heard too, and then that one I kind of understand because I read what I have read have said it's not very good. But the Legion Go is, I I had a hard time early on when it first launched. People were getting them from Best Buy and other places, and there were no articles about them anywhere on the web for a while.
So the thing about the Legion Go is that it's much more reliable than the ROG Ally had a lot of reliability issues. I mean, on mine, I had to fix the joystick, if you recall, because it was
Oh yeah,
broken.
right.
And it carved itself this niche in the gamer community because of all the options that you have. You can dual boot Linux and Windows.
Right.
You have this big, bright, beautiful screen. You don't have the variable refresh rate that the ROG Ally has, but you have the higher 144 hertz refresh rate, and you have the faster RAM. You have 1 terabyte storage built in. You
Hmm.
have the detachable controllers. I got a 3D printed piece of like plastic from Amazon that
Yeah.
lets you attach the detached quote unquote Joy Cons of the Legion Go and turn them into traditional controllers.
Oh, just
It's
like
great.
Nintendo makes a thing like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Etsy version of the Nintendo
Yeah.
accessory.
Yeah.
I guess Lenovo said that that they found success with the Legion Go. They're gonna make another one, and I think the thing is, I've been monitoring the Legion Go subreddit. It's growing by 1,000 people each week, and I think
Wow.
that's the secret. It's finding success in the gamer community for folks who really
Organically.
like
Yeah.
organically, for folks who really like handhelds and for folks who really like eGPUs because of the two USB ports. So anyway,
Interesting. Oh, okay, I have two more questions.
yeah.
One is, are you connecting what are you doing for powering the Legion Go while you're in bed? Are you using like a power bank or something connected to the other USB port?
So when I had the eGPU in the hallway, the
Yeah.
eGPU could power
Oh, right.
could reverse charge the Legion Go.
Yep.
But I'll get to this in a moment. Did you have another question?
I did. It's about the controllers. I want to understand why you like detachable controllers with this thing.
Because when I play, I can dock this with the eGPU in the living room, which is how I played
Mm-hmm.
Dragon's Dogma on Saturday for a few hours, and I was by myself, so I
And then you
played it a
connect
few
it to your
hours.
TV or what?
Yeah, I connected it to my TV.
Okay.
I did eGPU HDMI out. And
Yep.
fun fact for anybody who's interested in doing this, the One X GPU supports HDMI 2.1, but
Okay.
only from the display port. Not weirdly enough, I
Wait.
couldn't get. Yeah, I know.
I don't
So
know how
it
that
has.
works.
Yeah, me neither. So it has HDMI and DisplayPort ports, but
Yeah.
I could only get 4K at 120 hertz with the DisplayPort port.
Oh,
So
interesting.
I had to get a DisplayPort
To
to HDMI
HDMI.
adapter,
Yeah.
and I connected that to the HDMI cable that I already have connected to my TV, and that worked. So
All
I've been
right.
playing
So
Dragon's Dogma at 4K, high settings, ray tracing, 120 hertz
on your big
refresh rate
screen.
on my big screen. It's incredible.
That is
So
amazing. So you're not running the Steam knockoff thing now. You're just running, what do you want to do?
just Windows, just
Windows
Windows.
11?
I repartitioned all Windows 11, all 1 TB of storage.
Got it.
I recommend, if you're interested, I recommend playing around with Bazzite. The folks in the Discord and they have forums, really, really kind folks. Well documented, fun experiment, but I found more reliability with the eGPU part on Windows.
Right.
So anyway, I played for about a week with the eGPU in the hallway, but doing that every night kept bothering me. Every night before going to sleep, I would have to get my eGPU, place it on the floor. Sylvia would complain. She'd be like, why you're putting stuff on the floor now? And that kept bothering me. And so
Put it under the bed.
It needed to be outside, right? Because the fan of the GPU really gets going.
I bet it does.
And it's got RGB lights, it's
sure.
capital G gamer stuff.
Right.
But then, John, a light in the back of my mind turned on. And I remembered researching years ago.
What?
Do Thunderbolt cables longer than 2 meters exist? I remember this concept vaguely in my mind. And so I started looking again, and sure enough, I found what I once knew and then kind of forgot about. Let me tell you, John, about the beautiful world of fiber optic Thunderbolt cables.
Wow. That's a thing? I had no idea.
That is absolutely a thing. I'm going to link you to an excellent video by Linus Tech Tips.
Okay.
So there are two brands of. So the idea is on a copper wire, the Thunderbolt signal. Yes, the Thunderbolt signal runs into degradation after 2 or 3 meters. Apple is doing some special work with a 3-meter cable. They have controllers built into the Thunderbolt plug on each hand to keep the signal alive and active through the whole wire.
Which is probably what was messing things up for you, I would suspect.
Most Thunderbolt cables that you find on Amazon from Anchor, from Cable Matters, they are 2 meters in length because that is the standard length. Otherwise, Thunderbolt is going to lose signal over 2 meters. All of these problems go away by using fiber optic. So a fiber optic cable, and specifically a fiber optic Thunderbolt cable, I believe is something that was pioneered by Corning, the same company that makes the glass on our phones.
Yeah, it makes sense. Fiber optic is glass, after all. Right.
So these cables, which I believe Corning licensed to other OEMs, which is why I got a non-Corning fiber optic cable. I'll get to that in a minute. But these cables, they are made of 6 strands of fiber optic inside.
You're probably shopping now on like enterprise websites because this is probably made for like heavy duty industrial use where you have to have a lot of data very fast over long distances. Yeah.
You can get fiber optic Thunderbolt cables in 10 meter, 20 meter, 50 meter, 100 meter.
100 meters, wow.
100 fiber optic, man, it's incredible. What a technology. You have these special cables that use lasers and a bunch of other components to convert the electricity of the Thunderbolt signal to light that travels, at the speed of light inside a glass wire, super thin.
Does it require a box on each end of some kind?
It doesn't require anything, but the thing is, it just transfers data. It doesn't transfer power. There is no electricity. On each end of the cable, on each Thunderbolt plug, there is a converter that in milliseconds converts the Thunderbolt signal to a fiber optic signal. So I started doing this research. I once again took some measurements and I realized that if I wanted to place the eGPU in a permanent location in my office, under the desk, from the desk to the bed, those were going to be 8 meters.
Yeah. So I would be like that.
So I would need to get a 10-meter cable. And so I started doing some research. I couldn't find the Corning original cable available anywhere for me, but I ran into the website of this Swiss company called LMP Adapter. This make professional equipments. from batteries to cables to docks, hubs for professionals. And one of the things they make, and this is not written on the website, but I believe they're using the same technology as the Corning cables. They have the fiber optic Thunderbolt cables in multiple configurations. One of these, the 10-meter one, was conveniently available on Amazon Italy. So I got the LMP fiber optic Thunderbolt cable, 10 meters. It arrived a few days ago. I set everything up. In the meantime, I also replaced the external power supply for the 1X GPU with a much smaller GAN 1. So this is a more compact gallium nitride based power supply that
smart.
is like 1/3 of the original power supply. And it uses the same like barrel style adapter. And it worked. I was concerned, John, that by doing the signal conversion, from electricity to light, and I was concerned the latency was going to be an issue, like dropped frames. No, you got to trust fiber, man. I have been playing games with my eGPU in the office, plugged in.
At the speed of light, Federico. You're playing at the speed of light.
I've been playing Dragon's Dogma 2 at the speed of light. So every night, I just need to unroll a 10-meter cable and go watch that Linus Tech Tips video.
Yeah.
Because you may think, but fiber is so delicate. The way these cables have been constructed, have been built, is so smart. You can actually twist and knot the cable on itself and pull, and it will keep working. This
I would
technology
be careful with
is
that,
incredible.
though. I will tell you.
No. I mean, I haven't done it myself, but go watch the video. Linus
I know, but you know
it.
what? That is how my internet went out, was because they had kinked the fiber optic cable going into my house. And
I know.
It is possible to break the glass inside the cable.
I know, but I'm not doing it myself, but in theory you can.
Okay.
And so every night I just need to unroll this cable, bring it into the bedroom, and I can play games. And there's only that one thin cable stretching from my office where the GPU is. It's making all the noise, it's making all the heat, and I'm in bed, and the only noise that Sylvia hears, and she doesn't mind, it's the fans of the Legion Go. But it's incredible. And for me, this is a dream come true. I feel like is what I've been working towards all this time. I think, I've covered the entire spectrum of playing PC games in a portable fashion.
Right.
I started with the Nintendo Switch and the Steam Deck, and then I moved up to the ROG Ally with the proprietary eGPU, and then I complemented the proprietary eGPU with a tablet / laptop, and then I once again went back to a handheld, because that is where my true love lies, in the comfort and the portability of a handheld. And the fact that I can do this with a fiber optic cable so that the heat and noise created by the eGPU doesn't bother my girlfriend sleeping next to me is such a victory for me. You have no idea.
Oh, I can only imagine.
That I don't have to sacrifice graphics quality and performance for comfort. It's literally a dream. And because this entire setup is so portable, yesterday I traveled to Viterbo to see my mom. Right. I got some work done, and then for 30 minutes, I got my Legion Go, I got my eGPU, I asked my mom for a power outlet, and for 30 minutes, I played Dragon's Dogma 2 with the same high settings, thanks to my portable eGPU. I cannot stress enough, John, how happy I am with this. And for this reason, because I now have something that lets me play indie games from Steam, but also more demanding stuff while in bed, while on the go, if I'm in Viterbo, while in front of my TV. If I want to dock the eGPU, I can just place it there and run a single HDMI cable. It's a dream for me. And that's the reason why I'm going to sell all the other things. And so that's what I've done. And hopefully, I guess the final thing I will say is that I hope this LMP cable, I'm going to send you a link later. I hope that this LMP cable is reliable enough. I have 30 days to return it. If it's not reliable, it's been perfect so far. But if it ever creates any issues, I have found a reseller in Germany that sells the original Corning fiber optic cables. I got in touch with them. They were kind enough to get back to me. They have supply incoming from the United States. So and I should say, fiber optic cables, they are expensive. They are like
Oh yeah, no,
literally, they are expensive, but this is like an investment for the future. And
sure.
I yeah, I guess this is the culmination of my love for handhelds and external graphic cards and all of the freedom provided by those form factors.
Yeah, well, and look, I think for a lot of people who might be thinking about doing something similar, they may not have to go to fiber optic because they may have a setup or a place they play where they don't have to worry about things like the light and the noise and the heat and
Yeah.
all that. It might not be an issue for them. They can go with a standard Thunderbolt cable. So that's that's a cost that is to deal with kind of your unique situation more than anything else. And I get it. I mean, Sylvia's okay with the cord being unfurled down the hallway and all that kind of stuff.
That she doesn't even see it because I play games when she goes to sleep anyway.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
at
You're
least
just kind
she doesn't see the prep before, right? Like me
right,
placing the eGPU on the floor and the power supply on the floor. Like that was
right.
ugly to look at.
Yeah, that was a whole thing. Yeah,
It
I
was
can
a whole
imagine.
thing.
And I bet your dogs would go over like, "What's this? This thing
Yeah,
making noise
exactly.
and it's all warm." And
Exactly. And yeah, so I'm there's a few exciting things happening on the horizon for in terms of eGPUs.
uh-huh.
Supposedly there's going to be a new series of eGPUs later this year / next year with the next generation of AMD GPUs inside. There's one product on the horizon that I'm keeping an eye on. It's on Indiegogo right now. It's called I don't even know what this company is. It's called the SGW Zone Gaming Box.
Hmm.
And it's interesting. They have an Indiegogo like happening right now. They are making I'm going to send you a link. They're making a really compact eGPU that has an NVIDIA 4060
Oh,
inside,
wow.
and it's a GAN powered eGPU dock. So I'm very fascinated by this. And of course there's a lot of things happening in the Oculink space. Oculink is an
Right.
upcoming it's a new standard for high speed eGPUs. And of course on the horizon for 2025 and 2026 there's the big the big thing looming over the entire industry, which is Thunderbolt 5. So
Yeah.
it's a really exciting space to follow, and I think I've just accepted the fact that going back to when I was little, I've always been a handheld person,
Mhm.
and this eGPU fascination is something that I've developed growing up. I just love anything that is modular, made of multiple
Right.
components that I can pick and choose. It's made for me, so it's an
Yeah.
exciting space for me, and I finally I'm at peace. And
I'm
this
excited for you. I'm really excited for you.
thank you, thank
This
you.
is fantastic because look, I totally share your love for portability like that. I mean, I have found, especially with the way my life is now, that 90% of my gaming is on a handheld of some kind. And I do love to sit down and play on my big TV because I have a nice TV, but
Yeah.
I just don't do it a lot because there's other stuff going on. So having the best possible experience you can with a handheld is an important thing, I think. And it's amazing to me that with all these handheld devices that are compromises in a bunch of different ways, that it really comes down to Windows and the fact that you can run these eGPUs on these things, that allows you to take it from the Legion Go, which is a good system, but still has the compromises built into it because it's a handheld device running on a
Yeah.
battery, right?
Yeah.
But you can add the eGPU and take it up another notch, like to make it
Exactly.
the equivalent of
Exactly.
a good computer
Exactly.
but
And I
in
mean,
your hands,
there
yeah.
you are always, especially when using Thunderbolt, you are always losing 30% of performance of the GPU. And I'm
Yep.
okay with that. Like I know that and I'm okay with it
Right.
because I don't have space to have a desktop GPU anyway. I don't want to build a PC. I don't want to build a tower
No,
PC.
I
I
don't
don't
either.
like and so I'm okay with losing performance because of the portability that it affords. And I should also say I don't need to use the eGPU all the time. Like if I want to play Balatro or if I want to play something that is
Right.
more optimized
Right.
than Dragon's Dogma, I can just like the Lenovo Legion Go is a more powerful ROG Ally, and the ROG Ally is already a more powerful Steam Deck. So it's not like I need to use it all the time, but because now it's so simple, it's like literally a single very light cable that I need to run from the office to the bedroom. Why
Right.
not?
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. That's amazing. Boy, I can't wait to see all these links and start studying this stuff myself. This sounds like a lot closer to the kind of thing that I would want to do myself.
I had a feeling that you were gonna like it, and
Yeah.
yeah, that is why over the next few days, like I've been selling a lot of stuff because at some point, I like the fact that I tried all these things, and they
Mhm.
have they have helped to making podcast episodes and posts on the newsletter. But at
Right.
some point, I gotta pick one, and I see the Lenovo Legion Go, like what I've done. In a way, I see it as the equivalent of me switching and embracing things as my task manager. I get the
Mhm.
same like that feeling of finally I'm at peace. I have
Yeah, this is
found
the
what I
complete
wanted.
thing.
Yeah,
Right, it's the
yeah.
complete thing. I think that we still need to get you into, at some point, a retro handheld of some kind. Something that's just, like, more pocketable than the Legion Go. I still
Now we'll
think there's
see.
room in your life for something more than just the Legion Go, but I get it. I mean, sure, you can run emulators on there too,
Yeah.
so it's not like you can't play those games on there as well.
Yeah.
It's just a lot chunkier than one of those other devices, but, yeah, this is cool. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see more about it. All right. All right, Federico, that's it for this week. I want to thank our sponsor again. That's Collide. You can find us at macstories.net. We are on Mastodon. Just go to viticci.macstories.net and johnvorhees.macstories.net. And we're on Threads and Instagram, where Federico is at Viticci. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees. JOHNVOORHWS. Talk to you next week, Federico.
Ciao, John.